Are we pumped for the release date? Holy shit. Okay, let's talk some news. What happened yesterday was like the release date for Dragonflight dropped, and I don't think it surprised anyone, right? I don't think anyone was surprised by the release date because it was that kind of like leaked date. But do you know what really got me? What really got me was the trailer. I was not expecting this trailer. It blew my mind so hard. I'm hyped for Dragonflight, right? Because, you know, it's World of Warcraft, and who doesn't get hyped for World of Warcraft stuff? You know, imagine not getting hyped for World of Warcraft stuff. Imagine watching this stream and like a new expansion coming out isn't enough to get you hyped. I think it might be the wrong stream. Might be the wrong stream for you, but check this out. This is so good, and the music in it is banging, and not WoW music. They've specifically not used WoW music. They're using something else, and I think that's really, really cool. So let's have a little look at it.
The Dragon Isles have awakened and beckon the Dragonflights home. The future will unfold as it was meant to. Open your mind to what is yet to come. Events are unfolding that imperil us all. The threat is greater than you know, young ones. We must join forces and strike now. You balance upon the cusp of destiny. All that matters is this moment.
And I'll tell you what, that is what Dragonflight has been missing. That's what Dragonflight has been missing since it was announced. Because usually when an expansion gets announced, there's a features trailer that goes with it, right? Which is something like this. You know, you get your kind of cinematic trailer, which we did get with Dragonflight, with Stony Tony climbing Tears Hole and using the thing and what have you. But then you usually get just like an in-game kind of assets trailer as well. And that's such a hype. That's where you first saw Jaina in the BFA, you know, the new Jaina model and stuff was in the BFA features trailer. Like the Legion features trailer actually launched quite a bit before the cinematic trailer, and you know, was the first you saw of like the Legion coming back and stuff like that. It's a really important trailer, the features trailer. This isn't quite a features trailer, but it's the same style, right? It's actually better than the features trailer in many ways because we already know what the features are, so we don't need it. And that got me so hyped. And I tell you what's so good about this and why I really love this is there's like a euphoria to it. Do you know what it really reminded me of? Like, and I don't know if you get this in America, but I think British people will definitely be able to understand this. It reminded me of an epic BBC nature documentary trailer. You know, when BBC has got like a new Blue Planet or Planet Earth or like epic sweeping, it's so like hopeful. You know, people have said it in the chat, you know, you're back home sort of thing, right? What does he say? He's like, all that matters is this moment. Open your mind to what is to come and stuff like that. It's so cool. It's just really, really lovely. The future will pan out as it should, he says. Wait a minute.
The future will unfold as it was meant to.
I love that bit. Oh my God, that line gives me goosebumps, right? And it's like, it's the way that the camera's sort of swooping over and over Alexstrasza's head and then goes down into the Ruby Sanctum, and his voice changes. It gets echoey in the Ruby Sanctum. That's so awesome. And it's just like, it just feels so nice and safe and like he's taking care of you, right? Like you're getting a really big kind of Nosdormu hug there, right? Where he's just like,
the future will unfold as it was meant to.
Oh, you just feel like, oh yeah, don't mind if I do, thank you.
Open your mind to what is yet to come.
I think there is like, obviously it's to do with the feel of the expansion and stuff as well, but there's also obviously a kind of underlying element to it too, which is it's very much kind of a fresh start. And the language of it being a fresh start and like give it a go and, go on an adventure and do something new has been language that has been attached to Dragonflight since the very start. They very much used language of closing, and when people said they were ripping off Final Fantasy with all their language of like closing a chapter, it was obvious to me how silly that was at the time. But this shows you what they were actually doing with that, right? Like they just want to kind of like put Shadowlands in a box and kind of push it to one side. And so they were like, yeah, we're closing the chapter on that, guys. Yeah, here's a new thing. And like all the language surrounding Dragonflight is very much kind of like, look to the future, open your mind, the future will play out. It's like absolutely all that kind of language. And it's very much selling itself subtly, but it's definitely there as, a fresh start and a clean slate. And I think you really get that from this trailer. There's loads of that language of it being a fresh start and like a hopeful looking to the future and stuff like that. And the future is progressing as it should and stuff like that. And that's very, that's very purposeful intended. It's not just to do with the story of Dragonflight and the setup of Dragonflight. It's as much to do with what they want people to feel when they play this expansion. Because there's lots of people who are very understandably feel a bit stung after BFA and Shadowlands. I understand that. I think that's a very fair place to be. I like and mindset to have, honestly. For me, that's the acid test, right? If you can watch this trailer and not be hyped and not be excited about Dragonflight, then you probably shouldn't play it. If you can watch this trailer and not be excited, I think you're just never going to enjoy WoW at this point. You're not going to enjoy it, whatever it is like. If that doesn't excite you personally. Yeah, don't play Dragonflight if you don't want to, seriously. Like, why would you play a video game that you don't want to? And I feel like if you are a WoW player, even if you haven't played for a long time, and even if you got, if it was a really kind of got you down and you played it for longer than you should have done and you came out of it and you were like, I don't know, I just feel like that. If you are unmoved by that trailer, I don't know what to say to you, man. I just think maybe just don't play the expansion, honestly, and that's not a criticism by any means. Like, you just shouldn't play games that you don't like. I thought the trailer isn't exciting to me, but I still think the expansion is good. It doesn't have to match the feeling of the expansion. I think that's fair. So where are these comments that are criticizing the camera work? I think these comments are actually really good. I think like these are the kind of the best comments I've seen on a video for a long time. A WoW video anyway. That Nosdormu Dragon voice is epic. I'm so hyped for this. Getting nice down-to-earth mop vibes from this. Finally back to Azeroth. That Stonewatcher killed me. Yeah, the Stonewatcher's excellent. The scenery and aesthetics are gorgeous. It's a good thing the art department is still around, because once that goes, WoW is history. I mean, yeah, you can't have a video game without art. This will be my first new expansion while playing. Can't wait. Ladies and gentlemen, we got ourselves a new player. We got ourselves a Shadowlands player. A Shadowlands starter who's still excited for a new expansion. Holy shit. Ambitious release date. Let's hope for the best. That's the most critical comment so far, honestly. In the immortal words of Ryan George, wow. I'm lukewarm to this expansion after BFA and SL, keeping my expectations low. Maybe very wise. Totally excited for going back to Azeroth. Really excited. The music and Nosdormu voiceover is awesome. Honestly, pretty hyped for this expansion. True WoW, so excited. They need to release Dragonflight Classic already. So excited. What lore is Blizzard going to retcon this time? It was going so well. It was all going so well. And then it wasn't. Can't wait, just need to level my mage. The video needs more dragons. Finally, back to Warcraft. Let's go. Can't wait. It looks amazing. Like, these comments are really, really good. These are the most like positive comments I've seen on a Blizzard video for a very, very long time. Very excited for this. What I've managed to play on beta is very promising. Great music in this trailer. Can't wait. I'm really excited. So stoked. And I think, like, here's the thing. Dragonflight has a lot of good things going for it in terms of what kind of expansion it's trying to be. Even just through, like, in terms of aesthetic. The fact fact that it's trying to kind of write a new chapter after Shadowlands and stuff like that. I think that's great. But also, it's got a really, really strong beta to back it up. Do you think with how beta is doing, November 28th could be a little too soon? Okay, so for me, it's not going to be too soon. So here's the thing, like different people need different things from the game. Okay, so when you see people saying it's not going to be ready, those are people to whom very, very good class tuning is one of the most important things in the game. If you are a world first raider, if you are a high level PvP player, and lots of people in this chat will be, and I'm not one of those kind of like, oh, fuck the 1% guys. No, like the game should be good for everyone, and the 1% are a really important like part of the player base, right? So I hate it when people are like, oh, who cares what the 1% think? I don't think that at all. I think I want them to be happy, and I want the game to be good for them as well. If class balance is a really important part of the game that you play, which it is for a lot of people, then I can see why they might be a little bit worried. Because before class balance is balanced, you never see how it's going to be. And it never is. That's the thing. It never is. Will there be class changes and balance changes that happen after the release of the game on November the 28th? Yes, 100%. However, I don't really give a fuck about that personally. That's the thing. Like, personally, from a personal point of view, that's not what makes the game good for me. Like, Disco is playing okay. You know, there are the classes that are playing okay. There are classes which are balls out hilarious fun at the moment. Demonology Warlock, it will not surprise you to learn, is one of those. There are some like genuinely really fun classes in the game right now, and for me, the things that I look for in the game are there. And yeah, there are bugs and stuff and weird disconnects and shit like that, but that's beta. You know, that's beta a day before the game goes live. And that's always the case with beta, because beta is never as stable as the live game. Beta is never as stable. The graphics are never as high res. You know, the graphics always look better in the live game than any beta. Even the beta that was live, like literally the day before the live game came out, just always looks better in the live game, and it's always more stable. So yeah, for me and the things I care about personally in the game, absolutely going to be ready. Absolutely going to be ready for November 28th. Yeah, for more kind of like very specific things, and class balance might be one of those things. It might not be, to be very clear, but you know, the fact that we haven't seen any tier set bonuses yet might be a worry to some people. The fact that we've only just started doing raid testing, and I don't know what state the raid was in when people were testing those bosses yesterday, so I'll have to actually like read into that a little bit. I've been working on that video. Arcane is out, or has it just been data mined? Yeah, that's not the same thing. Yeah, sorry. If it's been data mined, it is not out. That's not the same. When it comes to like tier sets, data mining does not count. Do you think Drakthir are ready for pre-patch? I think they are. I still think people are going to hate them. The range is just like such a massive issue. The range is like such a massive issue for me personally. They did buff the range for the healer, but not the DPS. And it's not such a big deal for the DPS, but the healer still has 10 yards less range than most other healers, than every other healer, right? You know, so it's still got less range. They've got a 30-yard range now, the healing spec, right? I don't think that's going to make much difference. We'll see. Is it my imagination, or is Merithra underrepresented in the trailer? You are right. So here's a really, like, if we're looking at like lore things in the trailer, which I think it's always fun to do, there's a part of me, right, that if I didn't know about Dragonflight, I might think that these Drakthir landing were like baddies.
Folding that imperil us all.
I might think it's like, holy shit!
What is greater than you know, young ones?
They say the threat is greater than you know, and then these Team Rocket motherfuckers land. Who are these Team Rocket motherfuckers? Who are these bad guys? Who are these sexy, like, twinks?
We must join forces and strike now.
You know? And look, they kill a poor innocent, like, I don't know, rhinoceros or whatever. They land, they flex, they look dangerous, they are proper Team Rocket motherfuckers, and then they kill this animal!
Balance upon the
how did you enjoy the level 60-70 experience on beta? Loved it. Brilliant. The questing is amazing. It's really, really good. The bronze Dragonflight questing is out of this world. Just so inventive and so clever, and just so fun. Like, yeah, amazing. The Azur Span is just an incredible zone. It's got Tuskars in it. And the Onaran Plains is like legit one of my favorite zones. Like, it might be my favorite zone in the game, or not in the game, but in the expansion for sure. It's so good. Like, the story of it and just the zone itself is top draw, like really, really good. So the questing is great, but the questing is always great. The leveling questing is always great. That's not really saying anything, to be perfectly honest. So, that doesn't decide whether the expansion is going to be good in 3 or 4 months. What decides whether the expansion is good in 3 or 4 months, honestly, and I know people hate me saying this, but it is true, biggest factor is how quickly the next patch comes out. Let's be real. Feeling pretty good to be a WoW player right now. Yeah, it genuinely is. But it always is when there's a new expansion coming out, right? Like, the worst expansions were fun in the first month. The worst expansions were like super great in the first month. WoD was awesome in the first month. Shadowlands was great in the first month. BFA was sublime in the first month. Like, of course it's going to be. And I don't blame people who like play the game, do the leveling, and then fuck off for the next expansion, genuinely, and treat it like that kind of one-player RPG. There's nothing wrong with that. I can absolutely understand why they do it. The raid will make or break people, in my opinion. That's probably true as well. One last thing I want to look at in the trailer from a lore point of view that we did get a bit distracted from. This bit at the end where they are all cheering. They're not cheering. They're roaring.
And strike now.
And this is interesting.
Of destiny.
It really is, because, one, the best thing about this entire trailer is where Stony Tony pulls a Toy Story. Can we just appreciate Stony Tony pulling a Toy Story? Can you really keep your eye on Stony Tony here? Did you see that? Can we just see that again? Stony Tony doing a proper Toy Story. He's like looking around, and the second he sees someone coming, he's like, Toy Story. And he's coming back, everyone.
Destiny.
He's had a voice on the beta for a long time now. Yeah. Maybe he is a weeping angel. So that's the best thing about the entire trailer, obviously. But so this interesting bit here, let's just turn the sound off while we watch this, is the roaring of these dragons. 4 dragons roaring, 3 of whom are dragon aspects. Okay, so there's 2 interesting things about this. The first interesting thing is that it places Rathian, because this is Rathian, you can tell because of his earring around his horn. It places Rathian alongside Nosdormu, Alexstrasza, and Kalecgos, suggesting that he is an aspect, which he is not in-game at the moment. It's like between him and what's his name? Who's the other guy? Sibelian. Thank you. I've been playing quite a lot of that actually to see it, but anyway. Yes, Sibelian. It's between him and Sibelian as to who's going to be the aspect, but this trailer does suggest so they could just be putting him there because he is the more recognizable one. Everyone knows who Rathian is. This is, after all, just a trailer for the game. They put the recognizable one on there, right? You put the face that sells, and Rathian's face definitely sells. His model's just a bit cooler because it's got the earring, right? So that could be it, but it could also be suggesting that he's going to become the aspect. The other interesting thing about this little segment is that, you've got Black Dragonflight, Bronze Dragonflight, Red Dragonflight, Blue Dragonflight. Oh, where's the Green Dragonflight? That would actually very much kind of strengthen the case for Rathian that he is meant to be, or is being portrayed as an aspect here, because the only reason you would not have the Green Dragonflight is because they currently don't have an aspect. So like there's a very obvious reason why the green aspect isn't in this like roll call of aspects. And that's because there ain't no green aspect right now, which, if anything, just strengthens the case that Rathian is in fact an aspect. So yeah, it's really interesting. 10.3 Emerald Dream patch. I think so, genuinely. I think so. I would bet money on this being the expansion where you get Emerald Dream patch. And I'm not talking like the Emerald Nightmare. I'm not talking like a little trip in there and it's kind of it but not. I'm not talking like a little dungeon. I'm talking this is the expansion where you get the full-on Emerald Dream patch. No mucking around. In the same way that Nazjatar was like, this is the bit where we do Nazjatar. You've been waiting for it for years, and this is it. This is Nazjatar right here. Boom. That's what's going to happen with the Emerald Dream in this expansion. Mark my words. I am convinced. Emerald Dream New Mechagon? Yeah, basically, something like that. I think, yeah. I would much rather it be like Antorus. I think Emerald Dream is worthy of it being like Antorus. Antorus, I think, is the best example of a 0.3 patch. Antorus is incredible. You had 3 different zones. You had an incredibly focused narrative going through it. It was opened up 1 zone per week for 3 weeks. Banging. Absolutely legendary. Brilliant patch. 8.3, Absolutely banging patch. Loved it. And I'd like Emerald Dream to be like that. Anyway, whatever, man. So yeah, what do we think? Seems to me quite clear that Merithra is not going to become the Green Dragon aspect. Like, again, the other thing you've got is Dragonflight aspect loading screen. So here's a loading screen, famously, from Dragonflight as well. Depicting, well, again, is it the aspects that they're depicting? So you've got Axtraza aspect, you've got Nosdormu aspect, you've got Caligos aspect, you've got I remember when this image first came out, and I was like, well, that's Ysera. That's weird. She's not very dead. And everyone was like, no, Tally, it's not Ysera. It's Merithra. It's not Merithra. It's definitely not Merithra. Merithra has had a model update in Dragonflight, but she does not look like this. This is the same horns, the same hat, the same eye markings as Ysera's model. This is not, and it's not Tyrande either, no. It's very much Ysera, 100%. It looks like Tyrande. I don't think it does. It's got the same haircut, the same horns, the same hat, and the same eye markings as Ysera. It's Ysera. It's not Merithra. I don't think it's Tyrande either. You're only saying it looks like Tyrande because she's wearing like white armor. It's a younger looking Ysera. Well, they're all younger looking. Look at this. Like, have you ever? No, you never thought someone so hairy could be a complete twink, but he is though. Look, looks nothing like Tyrande. No, but I can see why people are saying it. I agree it doesn't, but I can see why people would think it just looking at it. Yeah, Benjamin Button-ass dragons. Yeah. So Ysera was the last green dragon aspect. She hasn't been replaced. So again, this is like an aspect picture, and again, Rathian is in this picture with all the other aspects. But that would definitely suggest that Merithra is not taking over as Green Dragon aspect. She's not in the trailer doing a big roar, and she's not. And her dragon model is huge. Okay, Merithra's dragon model is massive. Look, I'm gonna pull up some footage that I used in the last video of some questing. This is not a spoiler. Because it's just gonna be like some out of context footage that doesn't give anything away, I promise. But okay, the Merithra dragon model is aspect size. Okay, look at this. Look at how big this model is. Like, she absolutely could hang out with the aspects at the top of the aspect tower. She's the right size. She's absolutely huge. Look how big she is. She is thick. You love to see it. So, she could be an aspect. She's definitely big enough. But she's not in the, she's got a beard as well, as any self-respecting aspect does, yeah. But she's not in the aspect cheering bit in the trailer, and she's not in the loading screen. So, I don't know what's going on with Merithra. She sorts out some shit in leveling as well, so I hope she gets an aspect. I don't think that Ysera is going to come back in the same way that a lot of people do, but still, I still think it's a bit stupid she's coming back at all, to be honest. Yeah, I'd love to see Merithra take her place, even though, as you can tell, I can't pronounce her name. Do you think the lack of Abyssian is a flaw in the Dragon Isles leveling? Well, they kind of wrote Abyssian into a corner because he can't, if I remember correctly, he can't leave the Broken Shore. He can't leave the Broken Isles. He can't leave High Mountain. Am I correct? Isn't he like physically linked there, and he gets weaker the further away from it he gets? They could easily change that just by, it doesn't work like that in the Dragon Isles, right? Oh, he can move since BFA. Okay, I'll take it all back then, sorry. Yeah, well, my pet theory is still that he's going to come in and be Black Dragon aspect. The way they're putting Sibelian and Rathian up against each other for like the leadership of the Black Dragonflight, and you choose which one you want to help out and kind of like promote, essentially. It's so obvious to me that the funniest thing to do in that situation, yeah, would be that Abyssian steps in and actually does it, and they both lose. They're like, they learn to grudgingly respect each other, but they both agree that actually neither of them are best choice, and actually Abyssian would be the best choice. So yeah, and a Tauren dragon aspect would be wicked. It'd be so cool. I think Sibelian is going to do the self-sacrifice thing in a future patch and leave Rathian as the default choice. I mean, that could happen too, definitely. But we'll see. It's really interesting, and that's an interesting thing from the trailer for me, certainly.